the best place to take our ZEPBOUND injection. Hi, beautiful friends. I'm Elizabeth, Countess of Shopping. I have lost over 106 pounds. The last 2 years of being on Mounjaro, ZEPBOUND, and Tirzepatide compound, the combination of those is because of the shortages. And on today's episode, I want to talk about the best place to do our ZEPBOUND injection. Now, if you are new, my videos, I have a daily show here to help punt conversations for you to talk to your healthcare provider. Because I am not a healthcare provider, simply my experience, strength, and hope of taking over 100 injections. So hopefully speaking on some good body of knowledge and having gone through a lot of different things to be able to share what is the best injection site. So where are the injection sites? That's the first thing we need to do. So when we open up our box from Eli Lilly, it has the 3 different injection sites, which is where we want to follow. Straight out the gate, following the directions of where should we do the injections is the first and foremost thing we need to do. By the belly button, the upper thigh, and then the back of the upper arm are the 3 places where locations can go. So with those, for me, I started, and what I want to encourage you is start where it feels most comfortable. I was terrified to do the back of my arm or the back of my leg for a long time. And that's totally, totally okay. I want to encourage you and validate like that. The Dickens was scared out of me by doing this injection somewhere besides just doing it in my stomach. I felt very comfortable doing it in my stomach. So if that is you, go with where you feel comfortable with. Like this is a whole adaptation of a new lifestyle. Literally learning for me what full feels like. Getting used to having an injection, making sure my medication is in the refrigerator properly and that whole thing, and then disposing of it properly. Like there's all these layers to it. So validating it can feel somewhat overwhelming, and add one more thing into changing. Like just go with where you want to do it first. It would be what I did. Next, what I would really, really encourage is, for me, I found out after getting some months under my belt, figuratively and literally, getting some success under my belt, I lost over 22 pounds in 10 weeks. Now that's not normal. That's quite a bit. I mean, that's quite a bit, but I had such a big jump start. It was really, really, I felt so good that I felt more comfortable with my shot, that I felt like then I could try, okay, I can do my thigh. And so I started doing that, and actually felt like I had different reactions. Many people will say, you don't, it's all the same thing. It's all going into the same bloodstream. For me, I definitely don't. And why is because I've tracked it. Now I've linked down below, I have on countessofshopping.com, my website, a free side effects tracker. Feel free to use this or not. Feel free to make your own, like if you wanted to use it on a Google Drive doc, but on countessofshopping.com, you can go down in the description link, just click the ... more button to get this free resource and track. It's a printable. Just print it out, and then each week you can track how you felt, if you had side effects. 24 to 36 hours is when I peak feel my injection. And so a track number grows. But what I didn't know, and what I had robbed myself of for months, was the back of my arm. For me, that is the best, biggest appetite suppression. And some people say, oh, that's not true. It is true for me. It may not be true for you, because we are all different. There's different levels of obesity. There's a whole spectrum and gamut of it. We can feel differently with that. We can have different reactions of how we feel with the medications. So keeping that in mind, I think, is super, super important. But for me, the back of my arm, if I want to have the most appetite suppression, it's the back of my arm. It is the best injection for me because I typically lose the most weight that week with the back of my arm. How do I know this? Because the track number grows. I can prove it with my own data. Now with over 100 injections, I have the facts of like, here's how much I've lost each week. And whenever I have a substantial, not substantial, but where I'm dropping more weight, it's usually on the back of my arm for me. Now, if I do the back of my arm though, I don't do that every week because I like to mix and match in there too. And sometimes I actually do want to eat food. The week of Christmas and New Year's, you know what I did my injection? My stomach, because that's where I have the most appetite. Excuse me. When I do, excuse me, when I do my stomach, that is when I'm hungriest. Interesting correlation though. For the back of my arm, I said that I have the most weight loss. I have the most appetite suppression, but you want to guess the third thing I have the most of? Side effects. If you guess side effects, that would be correct. typically the most common gastrointestinal diarrhea, constipation, nausea, or vomiting, typically have one of those. I don't really have constipation anymore because I use Bioptimizer's Magnesium Breakthrough. You can use the discount code QUEEN. I'll link them down below. It's 7 types of magnesium in them. It's helped for me with constipation. Because it has 7 types of magnesium, it helps with a lot of different things like constipation, sleep insomnia that I used to have that I don't anymore with ZEPBOUND, anxiety, leg cramps, muscle cramps, things like that. But going back over the diarrhea component and nausea vomiting component of it, definitely with the back of my arm, I will have more of those side effects, more appetite suppression, more weight loss for me. The inverse is also true for me. And again, this is why I want you to track it for you, because we are all different. Many people in my free encouragement group, which has thousands and thousands and thousands of fabulous people. If you're fabulous, you can join. If you're not fabulous, don't join. No. And if you get caught in the spam filter, just shoot me an email. If you're like, I can't get in your group, just shoot me an email. My email's in the description link below. I would love to have all are welcome at that table. Intentionally by Design, a very diverse group. It's linked in the description link below for that free support group. It's free to be a free resource for everybody. But with my stomach, I have with that more appetite, less side effects on there, and less weight loss for the week. So just keeping those things in mind for me. It's interesting how my body reacts. And then with my thigh, it's kind of a mixed bag. It's there, it's I definitely notice, and now that I've done 100 injections, I'm on the highest dose, ZEPBOUND 15 milligrams, and I have been on Mounjaro, ZEPBOUND, and Tirzepatide, the combination of those because of the shortages. I've been on ZEPBOUND 15 milligrams specifically for the last year plus. So it's been interesting to see just staying flatline and not titrating up, how that feels. What I would do when I titrated up, one of the biggest things is I would go to a safe zone for me. And for me, what I consider my safe zone for me, like I mentioned earlier, is my stomach, because it doesn't have as many side effects. So when I titrated up, I would typically go back to my stomach because I knew I wasn't going to have as many side effects as I would with the back of my arm. How did I know that? Again, my free side effects tracker, my printable. So you can easily make that on like a Google Drive or use my free, I would love for you to use my free printable. But just tracking your numbers to figure that out. But so when I stepped out to the next dose, I would stick with good old reliable stomach injection because I knew that I wouldn't be having as many side effects. And so that's super, super helpful, because then this is where I take some of my power back of, okay, I know what I can kind of expect when I titrate up. I also know, particularly during like holidays or birthdays, or if I'm going out for a family event where I really want to be present or really enjoy, if we're having a culinary experience and I want to enjoy the food, then I know I can kind of manipulate where I do my shot in one of those 3 locations. And I definitely want to make sure I share about rotating the injection. Continuously injecting in the same spot, we don't want to do that. But also for me in my stomach, I have a ton of loose skin. I've talked about this before. I use one of my favorite things for my loose skin. It's on my Amazon shopping list, link down below. It's the Body Firm cream. I'm not sponsored by them. I bought so many of these tubs. It's not going to revolutionize my loose skin, but it definitely helps the texture and it makes me feel good in a bathing suit. Highly recommend. That's linked down below. But with the loose skin and with the stretch marks, that I'm sure changes the way that the needle is able to go in. And so like avoiding stretch marks on my stomach, there's a lot of stretch marks. And so I'm sure that affects the ability for the needle with the injection going in. It's something to think about. My husband always does the back of my arm. I've done a video, it's a YouTube short that you can see of how I do my injection on the back of my arm without my hot husband helping me, of where I can do it myself. Just make sure you follow the picture and the location where you're going to be putting it. But because our literature tells us that somebody else should do it for the back of our arm, just FYI. But not everybody has a partner or somebody to do it in their back of their arm, so which is why I made that video. My husband was not available, so I was like, I still need to do my shot, so I did it myself. With the back of my arm, my husband said last night, he's like, your arms, and he was saying this nicely. He didn't mean it the way it came out, but the way it came out, he's like, your arms are a lot less, he didn't say it this way, but this is how I interpret it. They're a lot less fat than they were. There's a lot less fat on them. To put your needle in, because it really hurt last night, and it doesn't usually hurt. Actually, Botox hurts a lot worse for me all my Botox girly and guys out there, my Botox bros and my Botox girlies out there. Botox hurts worse, I feel like, than this injection does. But last night, I literally went, yow! I could feel it. And so as I've gotten tinier and as my body's changed, definitely the way I feel the shot changes. And my thigh, same thing, is that my thighs are not as fat. And so putting the injection in, it feels differently than it did 50 weeks ago, 75 weeks ago, 100 weeks ago. It feels differently. So keeping that in mind too, of like where your best injection is, like my body's changed, and I'm sure that particularly with the loose skin and with those stretch marks, with that scar tissue, because scar tissue does play a role in with the injection, that's going to affect it. So I try not, people are like, okay, well, what's the point about time? I try not to put it in where my stretch marks are. I try to find, okay, where's the non, stretch mark to put the needle. That's where the needle should go in too. And I don't know if that's one of the reasons why my stomach is less appetite suppression for me, is because there's so many stretch marks on there now. There's so much scarring and so much droopy, loose skin. If that's why the back of my arm still is dominant for being amazing. Like whenever I have a good chunk of weight loss, like recently going down to 106 pounds, it's because it's the back of my arm. Now, granted, I have had pneumonia. I have been quite sick, which is one of the reasons why I dropped a bunch of weight recently, is just because I've been really, really sick. But nonetheless, even before that, whenever the study, because I've tracked my numbers, it's through the back of my arm, which I find fascinating. And I know for some of you guys, you have no differences, because I know someone's going to comment on this video. Just look in the comments. You're going to see it. Someone's going to not watch to this point, and they're going to be like, oh, I have no differences. That's totally also normal too. Like I want to make it all normal out there, that we're all going to have different experiences. I find it interesting, having been one of the first guinea pigs of taking this medication back 2 years ago, when people said I would have 5 heads, and now everyone's like, oh my God, GLP-1 medication. People who used to make fun of me for being on this medication are now like on the bandwagon with it. I'm like, isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? Saying that I would have like 5 heads. But nonetheless, that we're all going to have different experiences on that too, right? And that is also totally normal. Now, one of the things with my side effects I do like to talk about is element electrolytes. I'll link down below too. That's very, very helpful with those side effects, particularly for the back of my arm. I love element electrolytes. There is a link for 8 free sticks with any purchase down in the description link below too. They have their powdered flavors or cans. The cans have no maltodextrin in them. I love these. They're magnesium, potassium, sodium. Yes, they're salty because they have sodium in them, but we need salt. Our bodies need salt. Obviously, talk to your doctor before taking any sort of supplement. But I love this. It's been the tried and true for the last 100+ injections for me over the last 2+ years, is taking Element. And that's helped me very much. And now I take it because I lift weights, with strength training. It helps with my muscle recovery, and I really, really like it in conjunction with my workouts. And walking. I walk 2 to 6 miles per day. Although not recently, because I've been so sick. I cannot wait to get back out walking. I cannot wait to get back out. Like, I sincerely miss it so much. It's interesting how our bodies change on this weight loss journey. I'm like craving going walking. I'm like, please, when am I going to be able to be cleared to go walking and be outside and be outdoors and be out and about? Because I really do truly miss it quite a bit. So those are the best injection spots. I would encourage you, track number grows, and track it for the next couple of months and see as you rotate. If you do not feel like changing because you're scared, I validate that and understand, then don't. Then just stick with what's working. Someone in our free encouragement group, I think she was telling me, it's like the last year, she's only done her stomach. Now, I don't know if I would continue doing that. She's rotated all the way around her stomach, so she's not hitting the same areas. But so if it's been like a year, I would encourage you, maybe perhaps try another location. Get brave, get some of that Daniel Tiger courage in you, and go ahead and do your thigh maybe. Maybe that's less scary. Try and see. And some people are like, oh, it makes no difference at all. Great, then at least you know and you can check that box off. But what if you were like me, denying myself of like the best? It's so awesome on the back of my arm. That appetite suppression is amazing. It has helped me so much learning that information, and helped my weight loss journey so much. Imagine if I had denied myself that just by simply not trying. So talk to your doctor, talk to your healthcare provider about it. Of course, you need to do what's best for you. You do you, boo. This is simply my experience, strength and hope, and not medical advice. But it's been such a game changer for me for like the best injection sites. And now being able to see 2 years later how much my body has changed. And now that I'm able to do all these physical things like ride horses and go on roller coaster rides and walk a bunch and wear leggings and wear tights and lions and tigers and bears, oh my, it's so cool. So I love you guys so super much. Our accountability question of the day is, what are you doing today to move you closer to your goals? Tell me down in the description link below. And our emoji of the day is going to be a heart, because we are focusing in on being heart healthy by moving our bodies and making sure we're making permanent lifestyle changes. Emojis of the day, with the heart today, it tells me that you made it this far in the video. And if you did, I truly want to get to know you better because I truly do care. I love our community so much, which is one of the reasons why I have also a free encouragement group too. It's because I love this community. You guys motivate me so much. Iron sharpens iron. And I appreciate each and every one of you so much. You guys are like family to me. It's amazing. So my sweet friends, I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. If you've not clicked that like and subscribe button, make sure you do. And share this with your GLP-1 bestie. If you've got somebody who's just starting a GLP-1, make sure you share this. Don't keep all the goods to yourself. Share with them. Share with me, Chester. And if you can name that quote, you're then one of my besties. If you know where that's from. Share with me, Chester. I bet you know what you can name. My one friend who watches the same TV show as I do may be able to guess. There's your hint. Okay, my sweet friends, be kind to yourself, be kind to others. I'm Countess of Shopping. Count my blessings because life is delicious. I'll see you tomorrow. Love ya.